Hello, welcome back to Basics. I am your host, Jamil Damji, and I have with me the always more popular than me,
Oh,
Landry. How you doing, Landry?
pretty good. How about you, Jamil?
Good. You're wearing a hoodie.
I am. I'm freezing. I like don't, but then I'm so hot at night, so I just want to leave my thermostat, the way it is, but I'm cold.
It is. I'm in Canada right now at an Airbnb, and it is cold here. But
What's the temp right now?
I it's snowing right now. I would
Oh, I
probably
love
say,
it.
I'd probably say, hold on, let me see.
It's not too bad here right now. It's like 58, but at nighttime it's been like 20, like
So
gets down to 30.
yeah, it's -1
Oh my
Celsius.
gosh.
So what is that Fahrenheit? That
Oh
is
no.
30 degrees.
Okay, yep. That's cold. That's freezing for me. So
Freezing, freezing. But super fun. I actually run hot all the time. So um, being in a cooler environment, it's actually enjoyable to me. So
yeah.
I'm pretty happy about it.
Love it. Yeah, nice and refreshing. Cool. Well, I'm excited for today's episode. It's kind of fun to that we have this episode kind of back to back. You know how normally, if anybody's new to the show with Jamil and myself, we usually do every other week, but back to back because the holidays and everything. And yeah, it's nice to be back on here. I'm excited for today's episode.
Likewise. And for those of you that are not aware of what the show is, because you're new, Batch to Basics is a show that we do every other week where we get into the basics of wholesale, right? So last week we were working with looking at some leads. We called some sellers. It was really fun. It's always really my favorite thing to get on the phone and start talking to people. But today we're looking at the other side of the transaction, right? So we all know that you can get as many contracts as you want, but if you don't have a buyer for those contracts, you are going to be dead in the water. You're going to cancel. You're going to have angry real estate agents. You're going to have angry sellers at you. None of that is fun. So today we are going to dive into finding buyers, and it's always very important that you pay attention to your list because let me say this: real estate is an interesting game that is constantly revolving. And just as people come in and out of the wholesale business, people go in and out of flipping. And I have met people who have built a wholesale operation where they rely on 3 to 5 buyers at most. And I can tell you that's one of the most dangerous places to be in because if you have just a small handful of buyers, well, what's going to happen if one of them change their business model or say they move or go through a divorce and now they have no money? So there's all kinds of things that happen in people's world where they get ejected out of the real estate business. And so you want to be replenishing your list constantly. And so today we're going to go into looking at how you can use batch leads to do that. And they are an incredible tool and resource for you to be able to find buyers. And not only are we going to be looking at fix and flip buyers, but we're going to go into the different types of buyers there are. Now, before we get into that, I wanted to say that every week we give away an incentive for people who are not using batch but would like to. And so, as an incentive for anybody who is interested in joining the batch platform, we will be giving away a referral to a killer title company. Now, I got to say to this, guys, right now, my relationship with my title company saves me on average, okay, on average on a year-to-year basis, at least $300,000 to $400,000 in fees. In addition to that, I get marketing budgets from my title company as well, and so currently I'm receiving anywhere between $5,000 to $8,000 a month in marketing help for me to be
Oh
able
my
to.
gosh.
It's incredible, right? It's an incredible relationship. And so it's really important that you guys have a relationship with a good title company. I'm willing to give up one of my most trusted referrals, vendors. I'm going to give you a handmade introduction to Dina Jones from Fidelity National Title. And she'll be able to put you in touch with an escrow officer in your state that is hip to wholesale deals, creative finance deals, and can help you move along in your business. So if you are not yet a user of Batch Leads, there is a link in the chat. You go to batchleads.io/Jamil, use the code basics. That's BASICS basics at checkout, and you're going to get 50% off your first month. But in addition to that, we will make a referral to you to the incredible Dina Jones. Now,
That's
before we get
amazing.
started as well, I just wanted to know where all of you are joining us from. So if you could leave us a comment in the chat and tell us what city and state you are working in. It's always really fun to see where people are tuning in from. So let us know where you are tuning in from. Natasha, if you can put the adventures of Keithius's question on the screen, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. So the question is, why is batch better than PropStream? So you guys know me. I'm not a negative person, and I don't like to throw shade at other companies and whatnot. But I'll say this, okay? I've been in this business a very, very long time. And I can tell you that the owners and the people behind Batch Leads, they have a heart for wholesaling. Okay, that they've built this platform to be used by wholesalers. Now, PropStream is not exclusively made and developed for wholesalers. In fact, when PropStream was sold a couple of years ago, they actually wanted to wind down their user base of wholesalers and move and pivot towards real estate agents as the customer that they are servicing. And for me, I absolutely want to be working with a platform that has my business model, which is wholesale real estate, at the forefront of their development, of their research, and of the tools that they're bringing onto the platform. So for me, I think that Batch Leads is the best platform that you can use when we're discussing, comparing the two platforms. But again, we have nothing but love for the people over at PropStream. They've been in the business a long time, but you guys have always seen that I am hands down a batch boy. You know what I'm saying? So
I love that.
we got some people tuning in from Northern Colorado, DFW, San Diego, Nashville, Fort Wayne, Indiana,
Nice.
LA, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Washington State. Awesome, man. Good to see all of you guys in here. It's so cool to see the reach that this business model is obtaining in the space. How fun. So,
Yeah, good mix.
yeah, right. I wanted to dive in a little bit into the conversation of the different types of buyers, right? Not all buyers are created equally. Not to say that one buyer is better than the other. There are fix and flip buyers, buy and hold buyers, and people that are even just buying for depreciation and tax benefits, right? So there's a specific strategy that certain investors are using when they are purchasing investment property, and the metrics that they're looking for have to match what their investment strategy is. So if we're talking about fix and flip buyers, pretty easy to understand what they're looking for. They're looking for the biggest bang for their buck, the dirtier, the more tore up a house, the more opportunities that they have to force appreciation by adding value to the house is going to make that specific deal sexier to a fix and flip buyer, right? So primarily they're looking for condition and price because that's what they mostly care about. On the other hand, when you're talking about buy and hold investors, there is a whole slew of factors that go into play. How do I know this? Because I'm a buy and hold investor myself. And so when I'm looking to buy rentals, often I'm looking for condition. First and foremost, I want a property to be in rentable condition. I want it to be, turnkey, essentially. It doesn't need to have a lot of renovations done to it, but it needs to be at least livable, right? It has to be a place that you can put a tenant into fairly quickly without having to spend a tremendous amount of money to get it there. And so, one of my most important factors in looking at a buy and hold property is its condition. Do I need to spend $30,000-$40,000 to get this place in livable standard? Because remember, guys, tenants, although they're incredible and they're the reason why you make the cash flow that you make when you're a buy and hold investor, when tenants turn over, one of the biggest reasons why landlords quit the business, like let's just say, for instance, you have a property, and because of today's interest climate, it's very difficult to find cash flowing rentals right now, right? Very difficult. When you're talking about 7.5%, 8% interest rates, it's hard to use the Burr model to try to get cash flow. But if you find a good opportunity that's priced well and can still cash flow at an 8% mortgage, the likelihood of you getting anything more than say $200 to $400 a month in excess cash flow on that property is very rare. Now think of this. You've got a property you're making $200 a month on, which is fun. Okay, that's nothing to bat an eyelash at on $200 a month. But let's just say at the end of 12 months, your tenant decides to leave. And they were not necessarily terrible in the property, but as you know, general wear and tear is going to typically require carpet. If you had pets in the house, there's definitely going to be a need to change the carpet and painting the property, right? And then there's also general maintenance and repairs that pile up over time, and those are all going to cost you money. I have found that the average amount of money that gets spent on a turnover from going from tenant to tenant is typically $5,000. Now, do the math yourself. If you're only cash flowing, let's just be generous. Let's be super generous right now and say you're making $500 a month on your cash flowing property in excess. At 12 months, that's $6,000. Okay.
Dang.
What happens when you have to spend $5,000 on your turnover? You basically made $1,000. And I don't know about you guys, but to do all of that work, to have to deal with all of the craziness that a tenant can put you through, and the potential for a disastrous situation, right? Because I've also had tenants come in and completely thrash the house that I've given them.
Yeah.
And I've had to spend upwards of $10,000, sometimes even $15,000 to get that property back into livable condition. And so the likelihood of me making money is really difficult on a buy and hold deal. So for me, I'm more looking at acquiring buy and hold properties for the tax benefits. Because I'm a high income earner, I have to pay a lot in taxes. But because of accelerated depreciation, which is in the tax code, I'm able to depreciate at an accelerated basis all of my depreciation, which happens over 27 years, in the first year of owning it, which is incredible. That allows me to have a really good tax savings. And so for me, even though I may not cash flow on a property, if I can save $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on my taxes by buying a home, you can do the math now, right? It makes sense for me to buy this house, not for the cash flow, but for the depreciation, because I'm going to save money on my taxes by owning this property. Now, in addition to that, we have different types of rentals, right? We saw the emergence of the Airbnb golden era in COVID, where people were buying Airbnbs because they were great investment vehicles, especially during the pandemic and quarantine. But what happened since? Airbnbs have taken a tanking, right? Because people have kind of come out of their shells. They're now traveling more, and they are opting to stay in hotels because of all of the amenities that they've missed, right? People like room service. They like the hotel restaurants. They like the ability to call somebody if they want more coffee. They, you're cold and you want some extra blankets. The Airbnb I'm at right now, they didn't even have any soap in here. There wasn't even any soap. So I've been having bird baths every single day. I had to use hand soap when I was in the shower because I'm like, these guys didn't give me any soap in here, man. So it's like Airbnbs, they're not all that they're cut out to be, right? Also, I think there's somebody living in this Airbnb that I'm at right now, and I think they can hear me. But there's a room that's locked in this place right now that leads to an outside door. And I heard them coughing the other night.
I don't know how I feel about that.
And they didn't even tell us. They didn't even tell us that there was going to be somebody living in there. So they're like holed up in this room waiting for me to leave the house so that they can come out and, and be, it's like the craziest thing I've ever experienced.
So interesting.
Super interesting, right? But that's what's happening, right? Like the world of Airbnb isn't all that it's cut out to be. They've definitely taken a big hit on the rental side of things. But there's a new type of rental situation that actually your brother, Pace Morby, introduced me to, and it's called shared housing.
I haven't looked into it yet, but I've been seeing that a lot.
It's a phenomenal way to cash flow your rentals, and you get so much more money. You get so much more money. In fact, typically, if you're comparing a long-term rental amount to what you can get on shared accommodation, you're looking at 3x. So what you might be able to rent out for, say, $2,000 a month, if you do it correctly, you might get up to $6,000 a month for shared accommodation. But you got to be in the right locations. That's why something that I wanted to go into with you guys is the types and areas of locations and where these properties need to be located if you're looking for a good buy and hold property. Let's get into some of the factors that buy and hold investors look for. So they're going to be looking for location. Oftentimes, people that own rentals want to own rentals where their other rentals are located. Why do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they have to go out and do any maintenance, if they got to go check on the property, they would way rather be able to just go to one part of the city, go check on their properties, go check on their situation, and then leave to whatever they got to go and do, go back to home. If you've got rentals all over the city, now you're wasting time, you're wasting gas, and it just becomes an added headache for you as an investor. And so when you're looking at selling buy and hold properties, and this is something that you guys want to take into consideration, look for properties that are near your subject or your wholesale deal that are owned by LLCs, right? This is something that Batch can absolutely help you do using their tool, because now you can pull up, you can locate where your property is, and then you can see what's around it. And you can see who owns those properties. And if they're owned by an LLC, there's a good chance that that's a rental. And now that we know that property managers or landlords like to buy properties where they have other properties, there is a solid chance that getting a hold of the owners of those properties may be a great buyer for you for your subject property. One of the other things to keep in mind is that a buy and hold investor, because they're not looking for trashed out houses, they're looking for turnkey, they will tend to pay more than your fix and flip buyers. So if you've got a property that doesn't quite necessarily pencil as a wholesale deal for a fix and flip situation, it may be the exact thing that a buy and hold investor is looking for. So it's really a good way for you to still be able to potentially sell a contract, because the way you're marketing it isn't for a fix and flip, it's for buy and hold buyers. Now, Landree, you guys have an incredible buying to a buyer's tool in Batch, and I wanted to see if you had some time to kind of share with us some of the resources that people can expect when they become members of Batch Leads for finding buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Natasha, if you want to put the screen up, I'll kind of give you guys a quick idea. And of course, we're limited because of YouTube. So I'll just give you guys a quick kind of overview. But every time that we do these shows, I collect a list, whether we're looking at sellers, if you go back before, when we were doing the off market show, we'd pull those lists right here from Batch. We've done something with cash buyers before, and just like we're doing today, once again, you can just come right in here, which is really nice to have all of that information, or even the real estate agents on the properties type deal. So basically, if we like today's list, I just pulled in Phoenix, and coming into Phoenix, and like what Jamil is talking about, let's say that I have a property under contract, down here in Phoenix, and I'm like, you know what, I'd love to try to find a buyer that I know likes this area. Like we've talked about in the past, it's like you reach out to a buyer, they might be like, that area sucks, I don't like that area.
Right.
But it's like, what if you find somebody that's like, oh yeah, I just purchased the property for cash like 2 blocks away. Like, I love that neighborhood. That area is great. It's such a easy way within like 2 minutes or less, as you get used to it, to just pull it up. So let's just say that like I have a subject, my subject is down here somewhere, and we just do like a boundary, because you could do big searches in here too. But with boundary, you could just like outline maybe like a subdivision, or just like a really large area, just like this. Let's say our property somewhere in the middle of all this map. And then you open up your filters, and then there's legit just a cash buyer section that's like, how many properties should they own in their portfolio? When should they have bought these properties for cash? Like, are they active on the market now? I feel like that really helps find the specific, like if we wanted to find people that are likely to have fix and flip, then find somebody that bought it recently, like in the last year, like we've done, and then now it's active. Or maybe if it's buy and hold, they purchased it with cash, but they've owned it for a few years now. Like trying to find your target type of buyer can be just the difference between one filter, in here,
Absolutely.
which is pretty cool.
Landree, if you would, I want to kind of do a case study where
Mm-hmm.
I will show people what I was able to do with a very tight wholesale deal. So if you would,
Ah, okay, yeah.
could you pull up 3108 West Missouri in Phoenix, Arizona?
Okay. 3108 West?
Yes,
West.
Missouri.
Missouri. Why can I never spell Missouri? How do you spell it?
M-I.
M-I, duh. Okay, there we go. Missouri Avenue. Let's see here. It's been doing this to me a little bit today. Sometimes it's finicky with pulling it up. Here, one sec. I'll get it up on the other screen.
Okay. So guys, I'll give you the quick and dirty back of the napkin math on this property. So this was a 3-bed, 2-bath in West Phoenix, and it was priced at $250,000. Okay. Now, just for your guys' knowledge, the ARV on this property was about, with its current configuration, maybe $350,000. So there's about $100,000 in equity, but it needed $100,000 remodel, right? So if I pay $250,000 for it and I have to pay another $100,000 in remodeling it, actually the remodel came out to more than $100,000. It came into $117,000. And so my total rehab on this property was $117,000. ARV on it is $350,000. And so you guys could figure out, right? I'm upside down slightly on the purchase. So you may ask, why the heck would you buy that property, Jamil? Well, here's why. I was able to turn that property from a 3.2 to a 6.5, from a 3.2 to a 6.5. Now, because I now have a 6-bed, 5-bath house, can you open that up and show people where that property is located?
Yeah, let's check it out. Oops. So it's right here.
Yep. Now, what's this? If you can, that big compound that's across the road. You guys know what this is over there?
No, what is it?
A college. That is Grand Canyon University. Yes, Grand Canyon University. So
literally right across the street.
Right across the street from the college, right? So this makes a great student rental. It also, when I got in touch with Pad Split, and they're a good property manager for co-living properties, they average 85% occupancy in that area. And yeah, pretty great. And they can get me roughly $250 a week per bedroom. So do the math on that, right? $250 a week. That's about $1,000 a month.
Yep.
Six bedrooms. That's roughly $6,000 in gross rent for this property. Now, let's see what the ROI on that is. Okay. I have purchased it for $250,000. I put $117,000 in renovations into it. So I'm into it for $367,000. Okay. I'm making $6,000 a month gross. Multiply that by 12. That's $72,000 a year in gross income. If I divide that by 367,000, that is a 19% cash on cash return. 19% cash on cash return. Tell me where in America I can find a 19% cash on cash return anywhere. It's very rare, very difficult to do. Now, of course, I don't have a lot of equity in that house, but over time, that house will appreciate. So let's just say that I can get an additional 3 to 5% because of the market right now. Let's just say I get 3 to 5% in appreciation on that property. So I take 19% that I'm getting in cash flow and I add another 5% to that. That's 24% return, cash on cash. Now, let's take into consideration the depreciation that I'm going to get on that property. So $367,000 in property is going to roughly depreciate $60,000 off of my taxes. So when you do the total math, guys,
oh my gosh.
the return on investment for me on this property is upwards of 35, 40%. Where the heck are you going to get something like that ever? And this is the way that I want you guys pitching your buy and hold buyers, right? When you're talking to buy and hold buyers, you've got to understand that they know the tax benefits, but they want to know that you know their language, right? They want to know that you know what they're thinking about, what they care about, and what's going to move the needle for them. And so when you can package a property to them and say, look, I did some homework for you, and I spoke to Pad Split. And guys, if you're looking for a referral to somebody from Pad Split, we'll absolutely happily help you guys out. They're an incredible property management company. I don't know, Natasha, if you've got a way for people to contact them, you can put that in the chat. But guys, it would be worth your time to get a hold of Pad Split and to ask them what the occupancy rate of a property in your specific area or your subject property, what the occupancy rate is of that type of property. And then you could find out what's the average weekly rent that they get for that type of property. You can do some quick back of the napkin math like I just did right now. And when you pitch your buy and hold buyer your property, you can explain to them, look, not only can I get you this house, but this is a contact for somebody that you can get a co-living situation with. We think you can approximately get, X thousands of dollars out of this per year. This will be a 20% cash on cash return, which is very, very compelling. And you guys see how I took what would have been a not so good wholesale deal and turned it into an incredible ROI, right? So you've got to really be looking at these deals and these situations from a high level perspective, because not everybody has the same objectives when they're buying a house. Most people would have said to me, Jamil, you should have never bought that property. You're going to lose money on it. But quite contrary, I'm making buku bucks and saving money on taxes, which to me is pretty dang good, right? So, Natasha, if you're there, if you do have a contact for somebody at Pad Split, I'd love for you to put that link in there. If not today, then maybe next week we can share that with folks. But definitely worth your guys' time getting in touch with Pad Split to see what the vacancy rates are, what the average weekly rents are, so that you can actually give this data to your buyers. Want to say one more thing about that. Even if you have a fix and flip property that has great numbers, even if you've got a fix and flip property that has great numbers, you can still give somebody a pro forma on what the expected cash on cash return would be for this property should they keep it. If they decide not to flip the property, they may decide, hey, I'm only going to keep this as a rental. Well, now you've got multiple options for your specific buyers, which means that you're going to have a greater chance of selling the deal. So
and I'm sure your buyers will thank you for that and want to bring you, or want you to bring them other stuff, because you're giving them multiple options and doing that extra kind of homework for them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Natasha, for putting that link in the chat. So there you guys have it, padsplit.com/host. Just worth a conversation for you guys to find out from them what the co-living or shared accommodation numbers look like in the area that you're doing business in. They don't all work in the same they don't all work in the same states. They don't work the same in the same states. So super important to pay attention to that.
Jamil, how the heck did you make that a 6 out of a 3?
Well, I have an incredible sister that helped me get that done. So she's just like a savage when it comes to being and she didn't add any square feet to do that.
That's nuts. I'm like so blown away even just by that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty incredible. So one of the things that I also wanted to talk about was when you're looking for cash buyers for fix and flips, right? So Landree, you did some pretty incredible digging today on Batch, and you were able to help us understand how to identify a potential cash buyer for a fix and flip. Would you dive into that for us?
Yeah, here, let's see. Share this. Yeah, so once again, if you guys are wanting to, and we have so many resources for when you guys get in here. I manage the community, so you guys are always welcome to get into the community, or even if you don't have batch leads or still thinking about it, you can get in there and just get connected with even more amazing people. And you guys can send me a message. I can always help you dive a little bit deeper as well, especially since we're limited on YouTube. But if you go into your market, the filters that I would recommend using if you're looking for somebody that's fix and flipping is going to be straight in the cash buyer section. I would go to cash purchase. Yes. I would go personally. I find the best properties that have fix and flipped homes that have been, like, let's just say within the year of 2023. So let's just do 2023. Perfect. Let's leave that. So purchased in this year, they own, Jamil and I have gone over this a couple of times, and what Jamil was going over, which I really liked, because before I would just do like a minimum and then I'd get people like Open Door and Offer Pad, and they have like 40,000 properties that, oh, I'm not even sharing. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
There
it's
we go.
okay.
That happens sometimes.
I'm like, what? Okay.
You're like, I'm following. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So basically, if you guys go into that blue filter button at the top of the screen and then straight into the cash buyer section at the bottom, this is where I'm doing those filters. So I have that purchase date of in this year of 2023, and then this number of properties owned is one of my favorite things. And the way that, Jamil, you're the one that I started tweaking this after we talked about like minimum of 3 that kind of know what they're doing, that they have in their portfolio, and then maybe like a max of like 20, 30, just so that we're not pulling up those people that own 40,000
We don't want
properties.
institutional buyers. We want small mom and pop landlords.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do something like that, like, hey, I'm looking for somebody that this is kind of what their portfolio looks like, and they don't live there, making sure that they purchase the property as an investment. And then the last cherry on top, which is the best part, is if you go to the MLS tab and then say that they need to be active now. So these are basically going to find properties that were purchased with cash in, that time period and are now sitting on the market active for fix and flip. That's what I would do.
The Adventures of Keithias asked, why not big buyers? Great question. Okay, so it's not that you don't want to sell to big institutions and hedge funds, okay? But let me tell you what's happened in that space right now. So first and foremost, they're not doing a lot of buying at the moment because of the interest rates and the climate right now in real estate. Most hedge funds, not all of them, but a lot of hedge funds have actually turned off their buying. And so it's not that they're not good people to sell to, but they aren't buying a lot right now. But B, one of the things that you'll notice with dealing with institutions is that it's very difficult to get in touch with the person who is the point person for that fund, right? They usually work with real estate agents. And so knowing who their agent is that they're working with is probably a better way for you to actually get in touch with the institution. But on the side of small mom and pa landlords, they're going to be able to make the decision fast, B, make the decision quick, and come in with non-refundable EMD without tying you up with a long inspection period. I've sold hundreds of properties to institutions, and they always want a minimum 15-day inspection, and they always renegotiate on the last day of inspection. So very difficult, because what they'll do is they'll tie you up the entirety of your wholesale inspection period. So you can't even market the deal to other buyers. And then all of a sudden, after the inspection, they come back and they renegotiate to buy the property, sometimes even, or try to buy the property even less than what you have it locked up in under contract. So it literally screws your entire situation over, because you haven't had time to be able to market this property to anybody else. You've literally put all of your ducks in that one basket, hoping that the institution is going to play fair ball with you. And they know what they're doing, especially when they're working with wholesalers. Again, now that I said that, very few institutions will actually allow you to assign to them. And so quite often what an institutional buyer will want you to do is they'll want you to close the property and then sell it to them. Now, that can be dangerous, because if you're closing properties and selling to them after that, what happens if they change their mind?
Yeah. Then, nobody can, that's your property now.
It's your property now, right? And so I'm not saying that selling to hedge funds is a bad idea. I'm just saying that it's more complex, and it requires a little bit more of a sophistication when it comes to assets and how much you've got available in terms of liquid powder, because they will renegotiate and they will back out of deals. It's just a reality in working with institutions. So I prefer the small mom and pa landlord that owns anywhere from 3 to a couple hundred houses, because they are going to answer the phone when you call. They're typically going to be the person that is making the decision, and they can make that decision with you after just some very short due diligence. So, in my opinion, okay, now you can take it for what it's worth. I've only done 7,000 wholesale transactions in my life, but in my opinion, okay,
Only? Wow.
yes, yes. It makes most sense to work with a smaller landlord just because of the how nimble they are, how quickly they can make a decision, and the fact that they're not going to tie you up your entire inspection period only to renegotiate and possibly cancel on you, leaving you with no opportunity when you could have sold that house to somebody else.
Mm. Plus, you can have that relationship with them a lot easier
Correct.
rather than just
Correct.
random.
One of the things that you said, Landry, and pulling up the batch leads platform, if you would, one more time, I want to
Mhm.
look at that MLS filter and the actives. Okay, guys, look at this. This is one of my favorite hacks. Okay. And this is how you find a buyer for a fix and flip who's ready to purchase right now. Landry, what do you think would be the parameters of? So, can you pull for me all of the properties, or can you just show us how we would pull all the properties that were made active and listed on the MLS in Phoenix, Arizona in the last 24 hours?
The last, it doesn't have the time frame on here. I guess you could do like days on market is one. Yeah, we could do that. So we could do in this, let's just reset that and say yes on market. Just make sure they're active, and like you could do number of days, like one day on market kind of thing, if you wanted to.
Okay, so guys, check this out. One of the ways, one of the strategies that my intake team, that's the team of mine that builds our buyers list, okay? And they're going to be pissed off at me for sharing this. No, they won't, because they know I share everything. But one of the things that we do is we will scroll through the MLS every morning and we'll look for properties that were listed today that appear to be remodels, okay? That are
Ah, yeah.
owned and they appear to be remodeled. Why do you think the timing of that is so important, Landry?
I think they just wrapped it up and
What does
might
that
as
mean?
well
They're
get
ready?
in the door for the next one, right?
Exactly. Ding, 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 ding. See that? I'm telling you guys, Landry is she's as smart as pretty as she looks. So the reality is here is you're a buy and hold. Sorry, you're a fix and flip investor. When I'm doing projects, I want to keep my men and I want to keep my contractors moving all the time, because this is what happens in that space. If you have too many dull or off days, your contractors leave you. They go find other jobs. And then when you have a project that you're wanting to use them on, they're busy. And it
Yeah.
can cost you thousands of dollars, take you all kinds of time. And that's just, not good for business, right? And so I love using this hack so that I can actually know when somebody is ready to purchase their house. And some of the ways that I'll reach out to them will be like this, right? So if you're looking for a kind of a script on what you would say to somebody who is a fix and flipper that just listed a fix and flip property, the way that I go about it is I say, hey, my name is Jamil. I noticed that you just listed the property here on Coolidge. First and foremost, I just wanted to say to you, man, you killed that remodel. Like, I love it. I looked at the photos there. I don't know if you've got a designer or if you do all of this yourself, but whoever is doing this needs to be on HGTV. And I know a little bit about that because I am a reality TV star on A&E where we flip houses. Now, you are not going to say that, but I get to use what I get to use because it's
Mhm.
me. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to say to them is, well, look, I am thinking that since you just listed this remodel right now, that you're probably ready to pick up your next one. And so I wanted to let you know that I just got under contract an incredible deal in the same city and state where you did this remodel. The numbers are really compelling, and I'd love to send you the information on that. Would you like me to send that to you via text, or would you like me to send it to you via email? That's it. That's it. Now that buyer can make a decision on whether or not they're ready to take a property. But in any event, you've now connected the dots. You built rapport. You can add them to your buyers list. And even if they don't buy this deal right now, even if they're not ready right now, they need to get their money out of that last house. Whatever that circumstance is, you now have an actual cash buyer who you have proof performs, closes,
Mhm.
flips, and keeps the money moving. So this is a great add-on to your buyers list, right? So guys, there's so many strategies to use, but in my opinion, when you're trying to hack timing for these types of deals, using that filter of one day on market and looking for houses that have just been remodeled is a really good way to get yourself into these wholesale opportunities.
That's
Last,
genius. I love that.
last,
Yeah.
how do you know that it's a flip before you call? Any ideas there, Landry?
I'd say if it's vacant, if it is
What if it's got all the
staged.
furniture and it's all staged? Like,
Yeah.
how
Usually
would you know between what's staging and what's,
I don't know,
homing?
you can just I just feel like you can just tell when it's staged. I don't know, I feel like you can tell where there's, like, a pillow that has a saying on it compared to something that's just, like you know what I mean? I don't know, I feel like it stands out quite a bit or, like, furniture that is a lot older that maybe is really nice, it looks really good, but you can tell that maybe it's been in somebody's family for a while compared to something that, like, people are up in the trends of now. You know what I mean? Same thing with when you see a cutesy colored door and the house numbers, the basic ones that everybody loves. I feel like those are like some of those really big things that I look for when I see.
I think all of those suggestions were really spot on and good. But what if you don't have the same like knowledge that Landry has of what's cutesy and what's not cutesy, right? Like what if you're like, hey, this is it could be remodeled. It is remodeled, but it could be a primary residence or it could be a flip. Well, here's what I love to look at. Okay. The closet. Are
Ah,
there clothes in the closet?
genius.
If there's no clothes,
Yeah, that's spot on. There you go.
that's a flip. And so now I don't got to think about what's cutesy, what's like possibly a personal residence. I just go right. I see a remodel. I go right for the closets. If I see no clothes, that's a remodel. And away I
That's perfect.
yeah.
Easy.
Also the time that they've held the property for, right? So
Mhm.
that's going to be super important to look at. You want to see when did they purchase the property, and if it's like somewhere in the last 12 months, you know that that was a remodel, right? So somebody bought it, maybe waited some time to get permits, did the renovation, listed the property. Anything that's 12 months or less is going to be that case. It's going to be a very likely remodel.
Perfect. That's wow, what an easy way to just get right to the point.
I think so. It's like
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys that's like, cut to the good stuff, So
Yeah.
there was a question in the chat. Somebody's asking, "Hey, what is the differences between Privy and Batch?" So, guys, these are two completely different platforms, in my opinion. I use Privy for specifically for comping, but Batch is more of a lead generation software, right? So this is where we're going to be finding our leads, our direct to seller lists. Amazing skip tracing. You don't have that in Privy. There's no skip tracing there. So they just do different things, right? So for me, Batch is incredible to use if I'm finding lists, skip tracing buyers and sellers, tapping into the tax records. These are some of the more fundamental things that you can get on Batch that you can't necessarily do in other platforms. So you've got to look at it like this. If you're a contractor, right? Let's just use the example of a contractor. You're going to have a tool belt. And in that tool belt, you're probably going to have a hammer. You might have some screwdrivers, and you're going to have a measuring tape. Okay. All of them are tools that you use in construction and renovation, but they don't do the same thing. But they're necessary if you're a contractor, right? So, as a real estate investor, I have a few tools that I use that help me move along my business, right? So, for me, I love Batch when I'm looking at lead lists and I'm looking at potential opportunities. I'm going to be comping on Privy, and if I want to be, for instance, maybe sending some text to agents, I'm going to use Astro Blaster as my process to do that. So I've got multiple different tools that I use for different things. And of course, not everybody has the ability to have all of that stuff. But if you're starting to gain traction and you're doing business, for me, one of the first things to invest in are tools and resources that are going to help me do this business better, faster, cheaper, and at scale. So I hope that answered your question. I did answer the question between the differences between PropStream and Batch earlier in the episode. But again, Pete, just to give you a quick high level reasoning, PropStream is geared more towards real estate agents. When they were purchased by Security Title a couple of years ago, they made an active decision to leave wholesalers as their primary customer and pivot to be more of a tool for real estate agents. And so, unfortunately, for us as wholesalers, some of the utility is not necessarily all that good. Secondly, I don't know if you guys are aware, but a lot of their data is third party anyway, so it's not the best data. But again, I have nothing but love for PropStream. I love the people there. We're not throwing any shade, but let's face it, right? I've done over 7,000 deals. I've been in this business over 20 years, and for the last 5 years, I have never promoted PropStream. I just haven't. It's not the tool that my company uses. It's not the tool that my community uses. We are batch people. Okay. That's it. All right. Now, who wants to call some buyers?
Let's do it. Yeah, I want to.
Let's get into it. All right. So you sent me a list earlier that you pulled, Landry. And just for specificity, would you mind sharing what this list is for our beautiful viewers?
Yeah, so these are kind of similar to what we pulled up earlier of properties that were purchased in the last year-ish, under a year, and they're now active on the market and they're looking real good. They're looking real nice. And in their description, they say fully renovated. So those are the main focuses that I put into play here. And I believe all of these are vacant as well. So I'm pretty dang sure all of these have been flipped. And yeah, I have the agent name down there for you just in case, because you know how tricky it can be with LLCs sometimes. Some of them I was like, I think I found them, and others not so much. So I'll give you a couple different things there and a link to look at pictures if you want to.
Beautiful. I'm going to get calling, guys. If you guys are interested in listening to some cool calls for buyers, you're going to want to stay tuned. All right, let's get it. I'm going to start at Orchid.
Hello?
Hey, is this Carlos?
No.
Oh, I apologize. I'm looking for the person who owns the house at 916 Orchid in Phoenix.
No, this is the wrong number.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry about that, dude. Take care.
No problem. No.
See ya. All right, on we go.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
The number you have reached is no longer.
Okay, and let's call the agent.
Okay.
Hey, John. My name is Jamil. I'm calling about that house that you listed on Orchid.
Yeah.
Hey, great property, by the way. I was, peeking at the remodel that your client did over there, and it's really nice. I've got a property under contract that not too far away from where this property is located. That's in like really bad condition and needs to be remodeled. Of course, I know you're working with a client that does flips. Do you think that they'd be open to, looking at another opportunity? And if so, I'd be happy to send it to you. And then maybe you could, fit yourself into the deal and make something happen.
Oh, I mean, the client is my wife.
Oh, awesome, dude.
So, you can just call her direct and see if she'd be interested. It's kind of up to her.
Got it. Okay. Give me a second here. Let me get the phone number down.
Sure.
I'm ready when you are.
562-713-4774.
Amazing. What's her name?
Gwen.
Gwen, you said?
Yeah, GWEN.
Amazing. Thank you so much, John. Have a beautiful day, bro.
Goodbye.
See ya. I mean, come on now.
Here you go. He's like, client. Yeah, I know her.
I know her. That's my wife. That's my wife. So let's call Gwen.
Hi, this is Gwen. I'm sorry, I can't take your call right now. Please leave it.
We got to double dial. We don't. If you didn't call once, you didn't call ever.
Hi, this is Gwen. I'm sorry, I can't take your call right now. Please
You're gonna leave her a message.
I'll get right back to you.
Hey, Gwen. My name is Jamil. I'm calling about the property that you renovated on Orchid. actually spoke with your husband, John, a few minutes ago, and I explained to him that I've got a real trashy property not too far away from your renovation that you did there. First and foremost, you're amazing. You killed that reno. So I hope you guys knock it out of the park on it. I am looking to actively sell my contract on a house that needs a lot of work, and it's got some really good margins on it. If you are interested in hearing about it, do me a favor and give me a call back. My phone number. I'll be around all day. Just give me a call or send me a text message. I'm happy to send you the info on that deal. I hope you have a beautiful day and looking forward to hearing from you. All right. I'm actually probably gonna. Normally I would also text just to completely close the loop on it, right? So I'm calling, leaving a voicemail, sending a text. I might even go so far as to send the deal text to her, because now I've identified somebody that's an active cash buyer flipping properties in the area, right? Like it's me, it's a no-brainer. But you guys see how fun these calls are? Like I'm not talking to some a-hole, right? Like first, let's kind of deconstruct what I do there. Okay, I call, I comment on the job, right? So I'm always going to be complimentary to the work that they performed. I'm going to explain that I have a property that's, and you might be wondering, but Jamil, do you have a property nearby? I always have a property nearby. And if I don't have a property nearby, another wholesaler has a property nearby. This is the beauty of micro flipping. This is the beauty of JVing. So you may not have a wholesale deal nearby where this property is located, but I promise you, with the tens of thousands of people that I'm teaching how to wholesale, somebody gonna have a property near where this person is buying houses. And so the next thing that you're gonna wanna do is just connect with other wholesalers, see if you can find a property that's got good margins on it that you can JV and send that deal over to them. Maybe fit yourself in for $5,000, bada bing, bada boom, and there you gotta make some money. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Yeah, you might really be helping somebody find a buyer. Maybe they've been struggling to find a buyer. You're like, hey, I got somebody right here. So
if you can put Alfie's comments up, Natasha. So Alfie says, all the gurus say they have a house under contract, but what if you're a beginner and you don't have anything under contract yet? Great question, Alfie. So the reality is like I just said, there are so many wholesalers. In fact, my community in Astro Flipping, we have over 5,000 members, the largest wholesale community in the entire country. We always have houses under contract. And that's what a JV is, right, bro? A JV is when you're working with another wholesaler and you are selling their deal for them to a buyer. So essentially, you're going to get their contract and you're going to ask permission to send this deal text or this information to one of your buyers. And most wholesalers these days are open to JVs. If you come across a wholesaler who's like, I don't JV, it's like, okay, cool. You don't JV. But they say that on day one of their inspection. Then when they get to about day 7 of their inspection, and that's why I never get offended if somebody says, I don't JV. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem, bro. Do you mind if I call you back in like a week or so to see how things are going? And when I do, guess what they do now? They JV because they didn't sell the deal. Right? So when you got this like closed mindset where you're like, I don't want to partner with anybody. Collaborating is sucks. If that's the kind of person you're talking to, don't get mad at them. Don't be like, oh, F that guy. He doesn't want to do any business with me. No, that's not what you do. You just wait. You wait. You let the conditions change so that now what you're saying is actually something that they're interested in. Make sense?
Perfect.
Awesome. I'll make some more calls here, but I see that we have some questions, and I want to make sure that we get to those questions before we end the day. He's your brother. Your brother's hitting me up right now.
Oh, there you go.
He says, tell my sister that she's amazing.
Oh, that's what he said. I don't think so.
Why would you say that?
He's a busy guy.
But he still loves his sister.
Yeah, I love him too. Be visiting soon in Arizona.
To voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
I love these like British accents.
Your message when you have.
I love those British accents.
I know. I'm like, who? Yeah, there's so many different variations of voicemails out there.
Actually, if you want to know what Pace asked me.
I told you. I was like, there's no way that he was just like randomly. Of course I know he loves me.
Listen to what he asked me. He's like, hey, bro, I'm word for word going to read it to you. He's like, can you connect me with your gal at Fidelity National Title? I really need a good contact for a title company that can do deals for me all across the country. If Pace Morby is asking me for that referral, guys, then you know that's a valuable person for you to know. So again, if you have not yet signed up for Batch, go to batchleads.io/Jamil, enter code BASICS. We will give you that referral. I will hand refer you to Dina. She's incredible. She will change your life, help you get money for marketing. She's just one hell of a gal. So the link again is in the chat, up on the screen right now, and away you go. So let's start calling some more buyers. Okay. Why can't I find these when I want them? Ah, there you are, Landree. Okay, who's next?
Michael
Cordova, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless.
You have reached a number that...
Let's call the agent.
Okay. Marcy.
Marcy. I was going to call her Mark.
Oh.
I didn't see the Y.
You've reached the Murphy team. This is Erin. How can I help you?
Hey, Aaron. I was looking for Marcy.
She's not available at the moment. Is there something I can help you with?
Well, I was calling about the listing that she has on Evergreen Street, and interestingly enough, I know that it was a remodel and they did a phenomenal job. But I've got a junker house not too far away from there that could really use a beautiful remodel and has some pretty compelling numbers on it. And I wanted to see if Marcy would be interested in sending it to her client. Maybe they could, do another deal together and I could get this off of my inventory.
Well, we're having a difficult time getting that one sold, so I don't know that he'd be interested in a property in that location.
In that specific area. But is he still looking to flip others in other areas?
Sure, in other areas, yes,
Okay.
but not this area.
Got
This
it.
area is not working for him.
I got it. Is that the Coronado district over there? Is that where that is? Or
Yep.
okay.
Mhm.
It's kind of a funky area, right? Like there's the houses are so expensive over there, but there's like streetwalkers, around the corner. And so it's like it makes it a little bit difficult.
Yeah, we've actually had a 4 different times the police have called us with homeless people creating an encampment, putting mattresses and stuff in the back there. So we've had to get rid of. Yeah. So he's not really happy with that area. He's probably not going to be investing in that exact area again.
Okay.
Just because it's been an issue with this property. But
got it. So it sounds like are you the agent that works on that deal, or is it Marcy specifically?
It's Marcy. I'm Marcy's assistant.
Okay,
So
wonderful. So that's why you know so much. Got it. Okay.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest be an adequate process for me to try to get these opportunities in front of you or Marcy so that she can, if they're really compelling, good numbers and good areas that your clients like, that we could maybe connect the dots and get some deals done?
Oh, you just send them email is the best way, because that way we can forward that to our clients.
Okay.
And gauge if they're interested or not. So
wonderful. And in the email, I'll spell out what, how you guys would be compensated, and kind of so that, it's all above board and, okay, this is what, we're going to make, or this is how we add our fee on. So just so that there's no ambiguity or anything in there.
No, that sounds great.
Awesome. What would be the email address that I could send that to?
At
Okay.
MurphyTeamDreamHomes.com.
Murphy Team Dream Homes with an S?
Yes.
.com. Awesome.
Yep.
What was your name again?
My name is Erin.
Aaron, thank you so much, Aaron. You've been a pleasure to talk to today.
You're welcome. You have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, guys, as you can see, connecting with some of these agents is like the money, right? Because these agents, remember, like if I send a good wholesale deal to one of these realtors, I can guarantee you that Marcy works with more than one rehabber. I bet you
Mhm.
a handful of them, maybe even, 20, 30 of them. And so that's a powerful person to have a wholesale deal in front of. She can send it all to all of her buyers, and
Yeah.
one of them might want to buy it. So it's like you literally hack the system by you send the deal to one person who then disseminates it to all of their clients. Now we're talking big baller status. You know what I mean?
Yeah, through one phone call of somebody that is nice to you as well.
Absolutely.
I just love it. And what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to ask you about if anybody's wondering about with agents, and I know it can be different. It could be a flat fee or it could be some sort of percentage. How do you usually go about that if if Aaron was able to get you connected with this buyer or another buyer, how would you compensate the agent?
I always say, hey, add your fee on top. So add your fee on top. And then that way, and I pitch it as a way, like I say, okay, look, this house has $150,000 in spread. You could add 3% or any amount that you feel is fair. I'm not gonna count your money, and it's not my business how much money you want to make on this deal. There's a lot of margin, and so you can literally name your own commission. And I'm telling you guys, in today's climate where we see so much downward pressure on real estate agent commissions, that is going to go a long way, because agents, let's face it, right now it's lean out there. It's hard. It's hard for them out there right now because buyers aren't qualifying. And if buyers aren't qualifying, deals aren't closing. And if deals aren't closing, who's going to pay the BMW lease? Right?
Yeah, it's right though. And one other thing too that I thought was really important in there is that you gain the insight of the area that people do and don't like. So you probably, if you were looking at getting into that area of the buyer that you just called, and then you just heard about what's happening in the backyard of that property and that they don't want to invest there again, are you going to look in that area for another property? Probably
Right.
not.
Exactly.
So it gives you some really good insight the more you call and get to know your market and the areas. So I thought that was pretty insightful too.
Well, guys, we are at time, but I did want to just remind you guys, go to batchleads.io/Jamil, enter code BASICS, get 50% off your first month. And we would love to make a referral to Dina Jones for you so that you can have the big boss title company in your back pocket. Anybody who signs up for Batch today, Landree will get a list of those people, and you will be receiving an introduction from yours truly to Dina, which I can tell you
Pretty amazing.
is like literally rolling out the red carpet for you and giving you VIP status and giving you a crown and then saying, Dina, this is king or queen. So use me for that situation, guys. You want my contacts. You want to have people in your world that are referred by people that have influence. And I'm happy to do that. Go to batchleads.io/Jamil and use code BASICS. But we will be back again on the 21st of December. I am excited. What are you going for Christmas, Landree?
We are going to go to Arizona. We still haven't had our own Christmas here in Tennessee. So we're going to go. When are we? I think like the 24th. So right before Christmas. So should be good to see the family. It's always a big hoopla, as you know. So
yes. Well, Landree, as always, it's a pleasure to work with you, to do these lives with you. You're one of my favorite people in the entire world, and I love you very much.
I love you too, Jamil. Thanks for having me on here with you as always. And thanks, guys, for being with us.
Take care, friends.